That's it. I've got YouTube TV. I've heard you get on the phone, but I already tried. Yeah, this Saturday I tried this week, and I did. We're gone.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Routt County Commissioners. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
No.
Let me get to that. Okay, and then we'll move to commission comments. Unless Clancy has something.
No.
I've made you gun shy now. So, no.
Okay, Commissioner McKinley.
All right. I spent the weekend in Kansas City. I was a driver for my wife and a high school friend that was in town from Texas. Saturday was their 50th high school reunion in Lewisburg. We saw a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. It looked like they had a good time. I was driving there. I was listening to the first part of the K-State game, and I kind of sat away because I didn't know anybody there. I sat over in the corner on my phone watching this game in the afternoon, the rest of it for a while, and then disappointing game of missed opportunities. And Sunday we had lunch at my brother's in Topeka. My aunt and uncle were in town from St. Louis for his 65th high school reunion. But it was good to catch up with them. That was my weekend.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
Okay. Thursday afternoon, I had my first Teams call with the NACO Veterans and Military Services Committee. Had some opening introductions and a welcome by Trista Martinson. She's serving as the chair. She's commissioner from Ramsey County, Minnesota. We also got a PACT Act implementation update from Cynthia McJunkin and Denise Henderson from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Rachel McAtee, who's our legislative director for the committee, gave us another very grim legislative update from Washington, D.C. We talked and discussed Operation Greenlight. We did that here last year. We'll work on trying to do that again this year. NACO is going to do some things a little differently to try to get everybody's ideas and pictures and videos and stuff together for this year. And that's, of course, that's in November. Discuss the committee schedule update, had a general discussion to close out the call. Another call I was on Thursday afternoon was the Council of Foreign Affairs, their state and local officials webinar. This one was an update on U.S. and Latin American relations. Will Freeman, fellow for the Latin American Studies at the CFR, was the main presenter. He discussed the political landscape in Latin America, its implications for migration trends, the opioid crisis, as well as trade relations with the United States. Really good question and answer session, as you can probably imagine, followed afterwards there. I listened intently and may go back and pick out a few of those if I find the time, of course, to do so. Friday afternoon, I joined a list of numerous folks out at Florence Manufacturing, celebrated 20 years, officially being in Manhattan. Had a lot of employees as well as families attend the event. We had some food and games on site. There were several raffles with some pretty cool gifts and some other items they gave away. They also had some tours of the plants available for those that wanted to do that. We did have a special presentation for 8 individuals that are serving in roles with the company who have been employed for the full 20 years, which I thought was pretty cool. Manhattan Chamber also made a presentation and presented a framed award celebrating the 20 years in the community as well. And though it was kind of cloudy and it sprinkled a little bit, it was probably better than the alternative. I think if there was any rain out on that side of town, it held off well after the event, which is good. Congratulations goes out to Manhattan High, who won again, beating 5A Power Hayes pretty handily, 49-7. They're running their record to 3-0, and that makes 16 in a row. But they are putting the pedal down early, yeah. So roll Tide. Saturday morning, I attended the monthly coffee talk held by the Riley County Republicans out at Dobro on the west side of town. Provided a short update on all we're working on here in Riley County. I did speak separately on the LABTR funding and the need for its return. Heard some updates from some other entities. We talked about some upcoming events, including a school board, city commission candidates forum taking place on October 5th out at Potroff Hall. On my way back home, I managed to stop down at City Park, check out the annual car show. A little later than I think they normally have it in May or something before summer, but I was thinking anyway. But they had a lot of really cool cars. Antique vehicles were on display. I think they said there was 120 total lined up. They discussed they thought they were going to raise about close to $5,000 for a handful of area agencies in the community, which is always good. And it was just absolutely beautiful morning to be out and about. Unfortunately, the game didn't work out very well, as mentioned. I'll just describe it as up and down for 4 quarters. Maybe it just stings worse because it's Missouri.
Yeah.
I've been to games there where, I mean, it's just like they kind of wait for basketball season there. Football is just kind of an afterthought, but boy, it didn't look like that on Saturday. And I don't know, I just face palm, double face palm. If I had a third hand, I'd triple face palm, but I don't. So I'll just leave it at that. After the game, I headed over to Ogden to hang out at their annual Fall Fest. It's a pleasant afternoon to be out and about. I didn't stay for it all. I'm pretty sure they got rained on later on in the evening, but it's good to catch up with everybody over there because I haven't really been able to get over there on Wednesdays because of other things. They had all kinds of vendors selling different kinds of items. They had a silent auction and raffle. Signed up for a few items I must not have won. Somebody must have outbidded me on that. It is what it is. It had several food vendors. Been some real good Cajun one. One real good jambalaya. I took that home with me. It was really, really good. Lots of games. Had a cornhole tournament with some prizes and stuff for the winners. And they had live entertainment from 4 to 11 p.m. They were telling me they thought it might be the largest one to date in terms of vendors and people there. And pretty good, a little warm maybe in the afternoon, but once the clouds came in, it kind of cooled off and it was pretty good. Sunday, I watched as the Chiefs beat my Jaguars. Thanks for rubbing it in this morning, Rich. Pretty hard fought game. It was not kind of what I thought it was going to be, but yeah, that's the NFL. That's the parody of it, I guess. Also caught up on some things at home. Went through both agendas for both meetings today, including the law board, which is over at Keats. And that pretty much sums everything up. That's about all I got.
Okay. Well, let's see, for me, Friday, I spent some time in the office here going over today's meeting, following up on emails and phone calls. Also had a meeting with Team Keats, except for Brian, who was with Amanda, Craig, and Shelley, to go over the upcoming meeting details and agenda for this coming Wednesday night, where we have a sewer district meeting in Keats to talk to them about what's going on. So we came up with a lot of things we wanted to present. Later that evening, I attended the Democratic Party social at the Douglas Center with some of the city and school board candidates. They all had about 10 minutes to speak, several of them. So it was well attended. A lot of good questions were asked. It's kind of a tough crowd for questions. Good one of those. So anyway, and then Saturday, went down to Aggieville to watch the K-State football game with friends. The game was up and down, up and down. It's kind of like a nail biter. That 61-yard field goal. I've never seen anyone kick that field goal that far.
Martin Grammatica kicked the all-time NCAA record.
Did he? What was it?
63.
63. Yeah. Well, this, it was either win or lose or go into overtime. So unfortunately, it was the first. So then the rest of the weekend, I spent catching up around the house and yard, going to church, doing a lot of things. So anyway, that's it for me.
Ready for business, commissioners? Need a motion on the out-of-state travel request for Eric Ziegenhardt to attend the 2023 APWA Snow Conference in Loveland, Colorado.
When is that again?
Next week.
Actually have snow out there?
Well, they probably.
The mountain.
Unfortunately, with It would make the competition a little more difficult, I would think.
Why do they call it that? It's just because they're using the equipment.
Yeah, they go through an obstacle course and they either hit or not hit certain objects. Pretty interesting competition to, the chance to see.
Pick up an egg with a bucket, type of thing, and basketball, they do all kinds of stuff. Like I said, Roger Nelson, who he did the fence being on, he won it several times.
Oh, right.
He was very good.
They do it for the X Games. What's the difference?
Maybe they will. I've not been out there. Maybe you should let me go.
You're a little too valuable. Okay. And I'll go ahead and move to approve the out-of-state travel requests for the snow conference.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the out-of-state travel request for the snow conference. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sure. Thanks very much.
Tell them to bring back some video.
Okay.
I'd like to see
Somebody,
it.
I'm sure there's video of that stuff.
Something the county's participated in off and on for decades.
Yeah,
It's
they,
early on in my career.
this year was really late and over 2 weeks. The answer to this question is kind of pretty fair. So I'm gonna
Turn around to go there.
Next, I need a motion to approve certificate of unpaid fees or charges for utility services on property located in Riley County, 5241. Terra Heights, in 1,694.28. Special assessment will be placed against Noreen M. Ray Trust.
You want to explain that? I mean, we do this every year for this property.
That's what I thought, haven't we done this
Yeah.
before?
I couldn't tell you if this is a repeat
yes.
performer or
Yes.
not, but quite frankly, the lien is only gonna probably make a difference if the property transfers at some point.
I don't know if it ever gets paid. Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, when that happens, that's gonna get paid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the point of having a lien on the real property.
But on that list of payments, but show there's a big payment. I think that's, in June, they made a payment, didn't pay off everything, but there was a big on that list of.
I doubt that's unusual.
They
But-
paid their taxes is what happened,
Yeah.
so.
Well, they must pay some on this too. I think. part
Well,
of
this
that
is on their taxes. That's what this does. This puts it on their tax bill.
But I'm saying, I assume when they pay them, the taxes get paid first and then plus whatever they want.
No, they'll get it in one lump sum tax bill on the tax
Well, but they
bill.
didn't pay all of it, obviously.
But what gets paid first, the actual property tax or the assessment? Or is
I
it
don't
broken
know
down
how
by a
this
formula?
is set up. I don't know if they did a lump sum payment or if they're set up with a payment plan like you can too with Shiloh. I don't think.
Well, this just says one payment for, at the time, less than half of what was owed.
I think we've done this 3 straight years and
Doesn't this go on the tax sale or anything like that?
Eventually, if the taxes are not paid, if the taxes are not paid for enough years, then yes, that's what happens.
For years.
Yeah.
If they pay partials. is that-
They have to, it always goes back 2 or 3 years because of the way the system is set up in the statutes. So you don't do it just because you have 1 year or even 2 years. But once it's eligible, it's in a tax sale.
Even if they paid, like I say, they paid the taxes, but not these. I mean, I realize it's part of the taxes.
Right.
They pay partial, but it's still.
Well, again, the taxes themselves are what are going to drive the tax sale.
Oh.
But I can check on the status of that. There's nothing wrong with getting some follow-up information on.
Yeah, I don't know.
it's not just a one-time thing or
This is probably getting.
exchange of families or something. It seems like we've done this.
There was.
I know we did it last year and I'm thinking it was the year before too. So we're in that 3-year gap.
Well, it's not being withheld from tax sale. I mean, if it's eligible for tax sale, it would be in a tax sale. So let me follow up on where we are on the lien and what's getting paid first and that kind of thing. And I'll have Shelley bring that information back to you.
It's just, I mean, that just seems strange.
No, I understand. No, it's a legitimate question. I'm not minimizing that. I'm just saying I don't know. So I'm not going to pretend I do. I will find out. Shelley will bring that information back to you during the time I'm gone.
And on the agenda, it's got wrong address. The certifications that I address Rich put on the
Sorry, I was looking at the other sheet. Where at?
on the agenda, it's got the wrong address. It's got 14 instead of 41.
Oh, okay. On the motion, I've got the correct address.
Okay. Just one
It was just on the agenda though, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. The motion, you got it right, 5241. Thank you. Did not see that. Someone transposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this amount. I'm looking at this spreadsheet now. This spreadsheet is just for the special assessments fees.
Right.
It's not for the tax.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would imagine their taxes have been paid. They're just behind on their
Looking at
special
Yeah,
assessment.
taxes been paid, especially, you know.
Is this person Doreen, is she still alive?
It's a-
I hate saying it, but I do not know. And that's something we can tell.
She is.
Well, as far as I know, she is, because I don't know.
Yeah, we don't deal with that if they don't pay their taxes.
No.
I think we've had the discussion before. You save yourself a bunch of money if you pay it.
Yeah, because you get late fees.
It's just, I don't.
We have those same discussions on taxes.
Uh-huh.
Pay off enough so you're out of the sale. Figure out a way to get on some kind of payment plan on the other delinquencies. I mean, we always try and do that. I'm sorry.
She's been offered that.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying. It's what the offices do.
So the time frame still goes back to when it became delinquent in the first place. Is there's like past due?
If delinquent on the property taxes, yes.
Okay.
It's the oldest year that governs whether it's in a
Right.
upcoming tax sale. And again, it's been long enough since I was personally involved in those. I couldn't tell you what that is, but it's at least a year. And I think it's 2. And that's measured from this sale that happens at the county level. It's not really a sale in the treasurer's office. It's the statutory scheme we have. That's what we operate under.
What's everybody comfortable with? Do we want
Yeah.
to table it for further information or?
No,
Okay,
Yeah. We need to do that. We just get more information.
yeah. We Need to. I think this is the only one we're doing this with, as far as I know. So,
Well, it'd be the only current one. We've done it before.
well,
And we will be doing it again.
Okay.
I mean, it just happens. People, that situation will come up again. I guarantee you.
okay.
It could be next year or 7 years from now.
So we're waiting for more.
And you're voting
information.
7 years from now.
Even next year is okay with me. I'm fine with next year.
All right. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the certification of unpaid fees on the Doreen Inn Trust. That was it 5214 Terra Heights.
241.
5241. On the agenda is wrong, and the motion is correct.
It's wrong on the enclosure too.
Yeah. I'll second.
What was the motion? Were you saying the motion?
To approve the certification of unpaid fees and charges for utility service on property located at 5241 Terra Heights in the amount of $1,694.28. Special assessment will be placed on against the Doreen M. Ray Trust. That motion.
Yeah, that motion. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to do certification for the non-payment of taxes on the Doreen Ray Trust. All in favor?
Non-payment of utility.
Non-payment of utility.
Chair, please sign.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners have any changes to the minutes?
I do not. Another minute?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the September 14th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the September 14th, 2023 meeting as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, the tentative agenda slip, Commissioners. Reminder, we have Good Morning Manhattan Thursday, so the agenda here does not start till 9. But don't be late for breakfast. Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? Next, you have Amanda Webb on short-term rental licensing. 9 o'clock.
On the subject on my District 1 Commissioners list, sir, well, that's been a conversation for like
What has been?
short-term rentals.
Oh, really? They say nationally, they're getting less and less people renting those. They say that market's really starting to take a hit with real estate nationally.
Yeah, my uncle was here from St. Louis. He was a big Cardinals fan, but he didn't want to talk much. He said, we don't need to talk about baseball this year.
I was there this weekend, so.
Oh, were you?
It's a pretty short subject.
It's interesting. My
So
uncle,
you must have passed him on the anyway. So,
We might have.
yeah.
my uncle's from St. Louis too, but he's a Reds fan, so they got lots to talk about.
Not like Royals fans are any better.
Oh,
He said, but the only good thing we can both say, at least we're not open.
well, actually, Kansas City's got a worse record.
Oh, I thought
No,
we thought Oakland was worse than Kansas City.
sad thing is Oakland's trying to bomb. That's all right. I'll just go with my other team, Braves. We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
You'll be all right.
We'll be all right. As long as the pitching holds up in the playoffs, we'll be all right.
My uncle moved there in the mid-60s.
What's that?
My uncle moved there in the mid-60s when the Cardinals were really rolling. You know, Bob Gibson and
Oh, yeah.
all those guys in the World Series 3 out of 4 years, I think it was. That's what I started following them then too.
He was a big man.
Gibson.
I seen him in a bar one night,
Oh, yeah.
and he was,
What were you doing at a bar, John?
I was doing some
Research.
underage.
Research.
Yeah, we used to go to like one of the bars downtown.
Uh-huh.
After game, he would see business players there a lot. He happened to be there, and I've never seen somebody, he leaned on the bar, but he was looking like this. I mean,
Well, that was the deal then, you know, even Drysdale and Koufax were pretty tall guys.
You know, they get 1.0 ERAs. I mean, like I said, Gibson had no qualms, but then somebody rather playing. He's tough guy.
something like
That sounds right.
hard to say with him.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm supposed to be there. I started following. That's the athletics here, and then nobody's here. I mean, World Series since then.
Yeah.
It was kind of last time I was really following. Yeah, it's one real strong.
Like I said, as of Saturday, it's the first year since '07 they've had a losing record.
Yeah.
And before then, it was like 99 or something. So they've been consistent, even though maybe they haven't been.
Who's that?
St. Louis.
Baseball.
Really, they haven't played terribly bad in the second half of the season, considering how bad they started out. Yeah, I read something yesterday of the 4 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL right now, which totals $206 million. They're all 0-8.
I'm about quarterbacks. Did you watch the 60 Minutes interview with Deion Sanders?
No,
It was on last night. Interesting, but something that just blows your mind. This NIL thing's just so out of control. Shadur, they had a picture of him and they're talking about him a little bit. sitting in his $190,000 Mercedes coupe. With probably a $10,000 watch on, you know. It's funny, the typical Dion, you know, they asked him, you know, so who's the best coach in college football right now? Give me a mirror.
And the sports was, we were driving that, so I used to see that, that's, the sports channel, all the time, oh, they won another Colorado, they're really well. They barely, they keep them behind Colorado State.
Well, the thing is, when they run into a team that plays defense, they'll lose. They can score. They can't keep others from scoring.
Yeah.
So they run across a team that has defense and can play football, they'll lose. He won't run the same this year.
Well,
Well, the other thing is
they're
their
good teams this year.
top guy on offense and defense took a late hit in that game and got knocked out, and I don't think he's going to be back for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Ernest Dara also came over there and started a fight over it, and he might get suspended over it. So,
But if you didn't watch it during our game, that number 3 that killed us. One, the receiver for
Luther Burden.
for Mizzou, but that guy was fast. I mean, he was like, that made us look really.
He was fast enough, you couldn't tackle him in a phone booth. I'm serious.
Said one time the ball hasn't gone out of bounds, and we had some players over there and they kind of standing there as the ball went out of bounds, and kind of turn around and one of our guys bumped into him. He stood there for a second, and then he goes, like he'd been shot.
Ref just shook his head. I got to watch the first half of the game, and then we went to Logan, like I said, he coaches UCO, and they had a football game at 2:00. And so then we went there. I had a bad football weekend because they lost a close one too. Behind 20-3 at halftime and come back.
I got 1 out of 3 this week.
Yeah, that's all I got.
I didn't lay a goose egg. My fantasy league team is just junk. It's just garbage. Nothing I can do about it.
Riley County got beat by Rock Creek.
Maryland County's very good because Rock Creek's not very good neither.
I know, but when they've been good, like, when you can have one small school like that, you have one class of.
I think they'll be getting better because this freshman class has some athletes.
They got some more, it just seems that.
No, I
The
think
small schools, well, there's a few that are powers.
I think that junior class is pretty athletic. My nephew's in that, and it's pretty athletic. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
The schools around them have gotten a lot
I
better.
don't follow it close enough.
Supposed to be there, just seems like. Well, not.
The whole Blue Valley League up there has improved quite considerably. That's part of it.
I got if there is such a thing, a nephew-in-law. He's up there in football, and he would know. I need to talk to him. It's my nephew's dad. He would know. I need to talk to him, see what his deal is. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny, because it's Steve Wagner, he retired from coaching. People were hollering for him to retire, multiple times. And then you get the new young guys in there, and they had a couple of first good years, were good. And now they're going through this, it always looks easier than it is. And even my son-in-law said this weekend, they're talking about teams and coaches. I said, yeah, really good athletes can make coaches look really smart. He goes, oh yeah.
Well, apparently Saturday night, there was a rumor going across social media. But you see, the Climate didn't fly home with the team. Apparently, he flew out to Michigan State to talk to them about the potential opening job.
Somebody posted a picture of him talking to somebody up there
With a K-State hat on.
got a picture of him talking to the Michigan State people. And then somebody else though posted a picture, the actual picture, and you can tell by the picture.
Yeah.
So he photoshopped his face in this picture. Because somebody posted a real picture of someone else talking to this guy.
Come on, people. Oh, we got the basketball roster filled out.
Yeah.
Good.
Hopefully he can contribute a little. He's not gonna be a big contributor.
Yeah, he said he's a good, solid backup.
Yeah. He can rebound pretty well and shoots okay.
Okay, everyone.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I also have Darren Hobbs, our Planning Compliance Specialist, here with me today. We just wanted to have a few minutes with you folks talking specifically about short-term rentals. Of course, as you know, we've been going through this or working on this for well over a year now, and we're starting to get renewals, so we're excited for that. Things are working really well. So we have the spreadsheet here before you. Darren can kind of go through some specifics there, and then really we just kind of want to leave it open for if you folks have any questions or anything you'd like us to explain, how things are going, all of that. Because I know this is still a little bit of a conversation amongst you and kind of out in the world, if you will. So we just kind of wanted to spend a few minutes with you folks and just kind of focus on short-term rentals. So I'll turn it over to Darren, but I'll be here if you have questions you need.
So can't say it was easy getting everybody to get licensed, but it wasn't difficult either once we got the word out to them. Mr. Let's see. Papanowski had to send out violation letter to him, and then he finally responded. So and he passed inspection. So I haven't really had any problem with people not passing inspections. I had one that they had a bedroom that they were using and told them they couldn't use it because there's no egress window. And stuff like that. But other than that, it's been not too difficult. The bottom one, not the bottom, but 5-6 rows up. That was one I just discovered. Sent a violation notice out to them last week. So see if we'll hopefully get a response from them. And then the bottom two on the spreadsheet, those were people that voluntarily submitted to have their short-term rental.
Is our trouble property on this list?
Yes. And it's not trouble anymore, it's licensed.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be Mr. Papanowski, the one you might be referring to.
Yeah, okay, probably cars blocking the neighbor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we've got a note from that neighbor again. This summer one time about the cars blocking his driveway. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, since I gotta think there's more of them out there. I just
These figures well.
Yeah.
I just sent a call.
I go on each website, Airbnb and VRBO, trying to
Look up and see who's.
find some that maybe we don't have.
Think anybody would be advertising local?
I actually found one, we found one a few months ago, the State Lifestyle magazine. What was that one? Check it. We need to check this.
Manhattan Chamber, they have a link of places for people like football games, whatever. So I go on there and look at that and try to figure out if there's any new ones that are out in the county.
Okay.
You were saying that one, I did see it on the list, so we were talking, they're saying that we do want the state to make regulations, that's one.
Yeah,
That somebody was trying to say that we want the state to start regulating the short-term rentals, and the ones I was on, everyone's going, no, leave us alone, we'll take care of it.
I think the one thing that was said on there, at least on mine, was, you need to keep the local control, yes, but maybe there's some guidance on which everybody can kind of follow, and the state probably needs to give us the opportunity to provide a little bit more code enforcement. And that's the part that was discussed. And maybe we can get that cleared up a little bit this year, but I don't know if these fall under those same nuisance codes or not.
Oh, it means if they don't have a license, it's a zoning violation.
Right.
So we would be able to.
But if they do have the license and you need to enforce aspects of what we've developed, then that's why we really don't have any teeth in it. So,
Just send our letters.
you know, and that's my struggle with this. If even if they're licensed, if we can't enforce what we've put together, then what do we really have?
That's what I was thinking, especially with small counties, and they imagine how they do enforcement on it if state regulated it, but then state doesn't regulate other rentals.
No.
Is another point.
Yeah.
So you want me to see?
And I would probably venture to say that a good majority of these are in combination with some other agri-tour based concept. And yeah, so if that's on agri-tour land, then that's state's already regulating that under a whole different guise. So
Yes, if they're under inventories for us, we don't choose the short-term rental separate, it's under that.
Yeah.
So they're licensed with us in some fashion. It's just-
do they have to file a license for agri-tour too?
With the state. Yes.
With
Yeah.
the state, not us.
Yeah, and with us.
Oh, okay. To me, the really the only principle here behind it is we just need to know that it's there. So if we need to send David or Russell or somebody out there, we know what we're dealing with.
It's really a health and safety thing.
Yeah. I think,
Okay, go ahead.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, we have David Adams, 9:15.
No, none of us won.
Hmm?
None of us won the numbers. So.
Thank goodness, we all had more faith in our team.
Yeah,
Well, everybody was saying, oh, it's a dead form, there's no way we'll only win by size, or 4 or 5. We've got this.
It looked like there for the first two series, we were going to lock it up.
They wanted this game. They were energized, and you can tell it's one of those. Our game was one of those like K-State has done. You know, when you have that big game coming up that you want, that's really what you spent the majority of your season preparing for.
Well, after we thumped them so good last year.
Yeah, we did.
And I think, generally when you do that, that's why their scores probably were closer with their first 2 games because they weren't showing a lot like K-State used to do. So they've got athletes. They recruit well. Their coach can recruit.
Yeah.
He's just not for the recruits.
He's not really a been good X and O's type of guy.
But they were good enough to beat
But
us.
in football, it
we were.
all centers around your quarterback on offense. And it centers around having some kind of structure and leadership on defense. And their D line is stout. I mean, stout.
They were known to have
Yeah.
a good defense.
I think our season, the Big 12 season is going to be a lot of close games.
We get our other lineman back this week.
It's definitely supposed to be back.
Yeah, that can help to get everybody at their natural
He'll
position.
probably be limited, but that'll help. And I think that's been a big part of our problem on the offensive line. People, they've been moving them around and no one's getting really solid in position. So we shall see.
And they're getting used to 2 different style running backs in the blocking schemes too.
Makes a difference.
Really
That's
does.
what I've said.
Yeah.
The difference this year. I think the athletes are just as good, but those running backs and those wide receivers just do not have the hours in.
You could tell in the wide receiver. I mean, that's what I didn't understand too. Howard and Brooks have been working together for 4 years. They were off. I mean, they made a couple of big plays, but
And defensive backs, same thing with those young defensive backs. They just don't have the hours in.
and I wonder about the speed too a little bit. This is the first team that we really played that had speed at the wide receiver position. And boy, they used it against us. I 2-play drive, and the second play on that drive was a run. So it wasn't like it was just all the way downfield. But I mean,
And I tell you, Howard has made some bad decisions on throwing,
You know,
bad decisions and some inaccuracies, which it's.
he threw a couple times into triple coverage and you got to wonder about that. But you know, in like prior years, you don't want to kill the kid's confidence either. I mean,
That's his shortfall. For sure. I think he was extra sensitive on that.
you have to give credit. The Senate was in mid-season form.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
A
beast.
couple of those passes.
He's a beast. And Daniel Green was in mid-season form.
Yeah, he finally come around.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for him to show up and waiting for him, and he finally was there this game.
Those two jailbreak blitzes they put on, boy, he boom was there.
And about clothesline the quarterback at one time.
Yeah.
Did Sproles get in at all? Not Sproles.
No, he didn't.
What's his name?
Deuce.
Deuce.
He did.
See,
Yeah, he
Yeah, they played early.
played
did
early, had some
good.
good runs.
Yeah,
Yeah, he good. Good.
I think he played on the second series and Student scattered, and then he was on the third down and he went straight forward and dove over a dude, and yeah,
He's fun to watch.
they're working him in there.
But the crowd, because I didn't know what number he was when we were watching it. Saw this little guy come out. That must be the give ball, and the crowd started showing.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard.
That's him.
That's what I've heard.
Technically, I think he's third on the depth chart, but he comes in on some third downs because they can use him in the passing game. And he's, for his size, he can block. He can block.
So he was never afraid of blocking
No,
here.
I know. First couple of years, I don't think they used him that way, but
Well, I
last
think
year they certainly did.
they try to use him, but you know, it takes running backs and receivers at K-State a while to realize if you're gonna play, you gotta block here. A lot of them don't want to.
He missed a bunch of tackles.
Yeah. I saw some of that, I was like, what the heck?
I think that you have to attribute that to speed a little bit. I mean,
Well, some of it, but some of it just weren't.
once you get to the second and third levels of the defense, it's a lot having to do with angles. And if you're not at the right angle, you're going to miss. And that some of that speed.
I attribute some of it to this non-contact practicing that
Yeah.
they do all the time too.
No, I think you can still practice, and you can still practice wrapping everybody up without having to get terribly physical, you know? Well, it's not like you're playing flag football, you know?
Working on the game this weekend.
Yes, I'll be the admin there for it this weekend.
Been nice weather, at least evening game.
Yeah.
Help reduce call volume, hopefully.
Helps a lot.
Until midnight or so.
Right.
Yeah. Especially on a big win.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. I was the admin for last Saturday nights, you know, and I don't think they weren't horribly busy, but I didn't sleep very well. One of those sleep with one eye open type thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
That was there and Josh at the first game. At the end of the game, he was talking, I remember how many calls.
Right.
That's a hot one. They had
That
a lot of
first game, there were a
calls.
lot.
Yeah.
I saw one of your crews kind of pushing through there on the RV.
Mhm.
Nobody was on there, but
Yeah.
He took them out and shoved your
The
control
post.
command
Oh,
post,
uh-huh.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
after the game.
Yep.
Good to see all the people in there.
Yep.
It's
So
It's a crowd
you
in
see,
there.
you see more people in there when it's cold.
Oh.
Really hot.
So, yes,
They got-
all of a sudden
They
it's,
got cameras all over the, they got a
you see about it, about
whole
80,
bank of That's
I'll have to-
cameras.
Oh, really?
Yeah, showing.
Yeah, look at
All the
you're up
parking
there,
lot of-
and I'll take you up there and show it to you.
Where is it? I'll-
It's interesting spots.
It is,
So,
okay.
Yeah, so just let me know and I can meet you at the ground level where to go into the suites and I can take you up there.
I'd love
So,
to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take you up there and show you around and show you kind of where we go to watch the game. If that gets too crowded, I go up to to where all the cameras are, the camera deck, and watch the game from
That's where
there.
I watched the first.
Yeah, I like it up there.
So,
So,
I have to get your cell phone number. Find
okay,
it.
absolutely. Yep.
So would have known that last weekend. That would have been kind of nice to be up there out of the shade to start with and then come down and watch the rest of it in the second half.
Ready, commissioners?
Yes.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, EMS Ambulance Director with my monthly update. Calls for service in August, we had 435. I looked back, August of last year, we had 510. So, just kind of how it ebbs and flows. We had 20 in North County, which is typical. 151 from our headquarters station, 136 from 11th and Points, 80 from Public Works Station, 41 from the airport, and then ALS First Response in Leonardville was 7. As we're getting closer to opening up the station and we've brought everybody on to get them trained, we do have some nights where we have somebody there 24 hours in Leonardville. So starting this month, so we've got people everywhere. So worked with Rural Fire and they moved a desk out of an office and we put a bed up there. So if we need space for someone, then they can stay there and then they respond at night. So, but so we'll see how many calls they get. How many, it's not every night, but it's a couple times a week. So we'll see if that changes next month or not. The rest of the calls are event standbys and supervisors writing reports. Working on new building related construction topics, and that's taking a pretty big chunk of my time right now. That's where I'm putting probably the majority of my time is just working on those. So,
You got to earn that name, David.
I know, right? So I'm working out the road between Manhattan and Leonardville. So, I was up there on Friday and all the concrete's done, painting is done, flooring is in. The cabinets are in the kitchen. They should be installed this week. So air conditioning was running well. So, but the doors were up there ready to be installed. So I think those will be getting installed as well. So
Said all the concrete work, including the backs. Nice.
yeah. So they'll start working, I guess, is pretty soon on the dirt work and the pad is poured for the propane tank. So
Okay. Let's get
They
down.
got, finally got, then they got the other siding showed up.
yeah, and that's what I was telling John. It looks like that's what that is that horizontal siding.
Well, and there's
Or
one piece of it got started. They
Oh,
had
did-
some in one corner.
Okay, I missed that, but I was.
Far east corner, they had a couple pieces. up there.
Okay, I must have just glossed right over that, but I went over and looked at it and said, yeah, this must be the siding they were waiting on, so.
Well, they got the rest of the vertical side of the finished too.
Yep. So
Yeah, had a lot going on last week.
they did, and when I was up there one time, a guy was rolling painting the ceiling in the bay.
Oh,
I said, man, you would think somebody would have a sprayer for you, because
Yeah, I know.
he was rolling that. So he told me to talk to his boss. So as I discussed, we're orienting the new employees, everything going well there. There's a couple different working groups and task forces. So Josh and I split these up. So there's the mental health working group and task force. So I'm part of the task forces. Josh is part of the working groups. So we've got that one. And then we have the substance abuse, the opioid task force. Commissioner Koki and I are part of that. So those are starting to pick up steam. And I think we're going to start to see some more work with those. Commissioner Ford, you and I were at that mental health summit. Very well done. I think our RCPD and County Mental Health and some of those put together a summit that was very worthwhile. Very, very constructive. I was really happy with it. So,
I had to come in late, of course, so I missed the
right.
front half of it, but I can tell you the breakout groups, at least from ours in the summary, were very in depth.
Ours was as well.
Yeah.
It was Julie and I and Director Pete and somebody from the hospital and Connie. It was very well done. And usually sometimes you get into those big things and everybody's talking about the same thing, but that's not how they set this up. And I thought it was very productive.
Yeah, I think mine it was RCPD, Pawnee Hospital, and there was myself and 2 people from USD.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was really happy with it. I told them that I thought it was, very well put together and constructive. So we have upcoming is a full scale exercise at the Manhattan Airport. So Josh and Alex have been part of that, those working groups. So this week it's always a good opportunity there to bring in our staff and have training with our staffs about these, Josh has got those going on this week with all of our crews. So they'll rotate every day, 2 trucks in at a time, kind of go through it. And then they go back to their stations. We'll bring in 2 other trucks type of things. So we're working on those. And so that's coming up. Working on setting up employee reviews through Paylocity. So we're learning a lot about how Paylocity, Elizabeth sent something out to department heads. We talked about it at department head meetings, and she sent some links out, some trainings for us. Was helpful. So working on those, and then just event standbys. Just in the last month. So from last Thursday to the Thursday before, we had 22 event standbys. So that's a lot, and we get added to them. We get several different requests a month from people saying, "Hey, we're having this. We'd like to have an ambulance." And then when they find out the cost, then they say, "Okay, well, some of them say we pay it." Other times we send a non-duty crew to do the best we can, depending on call volume and things like that. But we're getting quite a few requests. So
you put like time limit on that? I mean, like, I know people procrastinate, so they're going to have the event tomorrow and they call you the night before.
Well, and for those, we just tell them we can't.
Gotcha.
We'll do our best and somebody on duty, but we can't. But yes, we get those. The schools, we work with the schools, and they do a very good job. K-State, Manhattan, Riley, Randolph do a very good job of getting us their schedules early because we've worked with them a long time. But some of these are just kind of late minute, and they go, "Oh, we should probably have an ambulance here." So in those we just say, "No, we'll try to send a non-duty crew, but they're available for call. There's a call in their area, and try to work with them." But yeah, we can't. I mean, it's just it gets overwhelming. So.
Like what do you charge for an event, or is it based on the size of the event?
No, it's based on a crew. And I knew you'd ask me that. I want to, right off the top of my head, if there's a difference if it is for profit, not profit, but I want to say it's right about $100 an hour for a crew, $125 an hour. If Josh is watching, he's probably screaming in this.
You can get back to
Yeah, but yes. So the idea is to cover the costs for the staffing, the ambulance, the fuel, and those types of things. So
and you charge that to the schools and public and
correct.
private.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Education, really nothing new has changed there. Still doing reviews, still really looking at the data and trends, what's going on in the community. Credentialing is in progress now. Like today, they're bringing in crews 2 at a time to take the written tests and such. So that's going. And then we have a couple more classes coming up in the next month. Pre-hospital trauma life support is a program, and then advanced medical life support. So those are coming up here. One of them, I think PHTLS is at the end of this month, the last 2 days of the month, and then AMLS is next month. So we just did emergency pediatric care. So And then working on protocols and rolling those out. That is a multi-year process to update these because Dr. Bennett, who's our medical director, and Alex, they look at what is the standard nationally, right? And then, so how do we fit into that standard? Is that something, if it's standard, you try to obviously follow the standard. If there's a lot of variation in there, then that's where Dr. Bennett comes in to say, this is how we do it in the ER, it's that type of thing. So it's a big project. So the last time we really looked at these was in, I believe, 2020. So, but it takes a couple of years to kind of roll those out. And then community outreach, car seat check lanes, multiple demonstrations of our trucks, equipment, purple power play. We participated in Bucks for Buckles right down here at 3rd and Leavenworth, where they see somebody driving with their seatbelt on, pull over, they have donated money, they give them $1 for wearing their seatbelt type of thing. So, yeah. Participate in the local heroes.
Yeah. I need a gallon of gas. I got to do it 4 times.
I was thinking people are gonna drive around because they want to go get a coffee.
Buy coffee for
Person
$1.
in the car?
No, so you go,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
what's that?
Is that per person in the car or the car itself?
I think it depends on the number of people in the vehicle.
Okay.
So if there's somebody when you get in the Volkswagen, then give it to the.
I've been to the circus a few times.
Don't have anything else to do.
Right.
Belt it in.
Yeah, you have a racing harness in there,
Yeah.
and I saw him, I was leaving the county offices and I saw him, and I thought about driving by and seeing if somebody pulled me over and give me $1, but they'd probably make me pay me $1.
Yeah, I would.
Right, so I just kept on.
Reputation precedes.
Absolutely. So, I figured they would tell them I know them, so. Breakdown of calls per day, Wednesday always seems to be a big day, and then Saturdays we're off down a little bit in August. I could attribute a little bit of that to the heat. And then just students are back, so that they like to congregate together at house parties and things, they're gonna break in the house and fill the first.
Or just break the house.
So, but pretty steady. And then by hour a day, because the thing that stood out to me is when looking at it from 9 o'clock to midnight, even overnight, they weren't as busy as we typically see. So, but so a lot of the students did get back till later in the month and such, but
They're getting warmed up now.
they are warmed up. So
It might be worthy to note moving forward of what your calls are.
I can give you the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Accidents, is it
Sure.
cardiac? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Falls from ground level, respiratory,
Yeah.
motor vehicle accidents. Yeah, I can do that. Absolutely. So,
Drug or overdose related. Yeah.
all right. Do you have any questions for me? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Next commissioner's press conference, 9:30. Have a good day, David.
Thank you. You too.
We doing something with shilling at the moment?
They should be up around University Park area.
Okay. I saw 2 of our crews heading up that way and shilling was right behind them.
Yeah, we should have a couple out there doing the inspection.
I heard you were up, so.
I'm not sure where they're on that they were, but
Shortly.
we should be hopefully finishing up the next week. Okay, good morning, Commission. John Ellerman, Public Works. I do have a couple of announcements of road closures. We're gonna replace the structure on Homestead Road starting Monday, September 25th. Project is located about 115 feet west of Falcon Road. That's Highway 24. Homestead will be closed through traffic during the construction from Crooked Creek to Falcon Road. Project expected to be completed by Friday, September 29th, weather permitting. We also have, starting Monday, the September 25th, culvert replacement project on Flat Rock Road. This project's approximately 3.5 miles east of Highway 77 between Tuberine Road and Sweet Creek Road. And Flat Rock Road will be closed to true traffic. Traffic control will be installed and with instructions to direct traffic. This project is scheduled for 80 working days. Expected to be completed by January 12th. Weather permitting. So, thank you.
No, right?
Morning.
Morning.
Going to be giving a program on ornamental grasses that's being hosted by Blueville Garden Center. This will be on Saturday at 10 a.m. free and open to anybody to come. Ornamental grasses are very well adapted to our environment with our hot and dry summer that we've had. Grasses are able to cope with that pretty well. You can make them a little more attractive by adding some water, but typically they don't require a bunch. If you water too much, they'll kind of get floppy and fall over and maybe not be as showy. But there's lots of options for us to choose from. We have a lot of native grasses. Shenandoah switchgrass is a very common, enjoyable one. You see it up and down Points Avenue. So they do very well. Prairie drop seed is a smaller one that does very well. So we're going to talk about the different characteristics of some of the options out there. K-State did a study a while back on ornamental grasses. I could share that information with those able to participate. And if you can't come on Saturday at 10 a.m. at Blueville, we always have that information at the extension office, second floor of Raleigh County Office Building. You give us a call. The information, of course, is online as well. So lots of resources and opportunities for people to find out about ornamental grasses. If that's something of interest to, very little care. So it's a good plant in my book for us to have. So welcome for people to come out and answer questions.
Now, will you have samples there, pictures and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we'll do a typical extension PowerPoint with some pictures. But being at Blueville Nursery, they'll have some of their samples on display too. So we can talk about the ones they have and maybe some other ones that you want to consider.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Next commissioners, I'll be up at 9:40.
Just for the record, I got almost a half an inch of rain.
Not even talking
I
to
got
you.
nothing.
Just enough to maybe bring my grass back to life, but I think it's hopeless.
Yeah, I noticed how brown patches of mine are. And we did not get happy.
I got nothing. Yes.
Yeah.
I came in one like 10-minute swoop. It was just like, and it was gone. You got time post meeting to chat? You're not sticking around or no?
I wasn't, but I can.
Okay. How about we just talk real quick?
Okay. Look at what's changed. Yeah, I think it's amazing to see it's like that, but it's so big. I thought, I really, yeah, I saw them. There was a little, putting it all meeting. Yeah, now. There's a family vacation. Get in for that thing. Yeah, they were working on that. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Things like that. Right. That would work, you know. The fellow.
Good.
Good.
So the trip is again.
Not bad.
I mean, not bad.
Good.
No.
You didn't bring back the win.
I know. I tried really.
It's actually my fault.
I'm good with that.
Last time they played on my birthday, they played an SEC team on the road and lost.
Oh, that's right. You had a birthday. Happy
Yeah.
birthday. I heard that on the radio.
Oh, that's where everybody got it from. I need to talk to them
They
about
didn't
that.
say how old you were.
Yeah, I know.
That's good. That's all.
I'm 28 with 18 years of experience.
Your 18th annual 20th.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna go with that.
Yes,
Ready, commissioners?
yes.
Good morning, commissioners. First report is 2023 year-to-date wages to overtime compared to budget. See in upper right-hand corner, the 66.67%. That's the point in time of year in which this report was ran. That just got kind of what we use as the barometer comparatively on where departments are budgetarily for wages and overtime, and also the budget, which you'll see down below. You can see those highlighted in the red that are over that amount. That's just the kind of red flag, so to speak, for us to keep an eye on to be sure, departments are going to be okay through the end of the year, and then also budgetarily for budget purposes for the next budget cycle. Always like to point out the center column there, budgeted overtime, the percent of wages. In past years, sometimes those would get higher for certain respective departments and commissioners and kind of get their attention. EMS ambulance at 26.46, overwhelming majority of that is budgeted overtime due to their 24/7, 365 days a year schedule.
It's actually down quite a bit.
Departments such as Public Works, Solid Waste, and Noxious Weed typically have a little bit higher overtime usage in those departments, although all of them are doing pretty good right now. We do budget 8% in their budgets for overtime, of course, because they are the ones providing the snow, ice removal. So this fall, this winter is when you can see those percentages go up. Just know that they do have more budgeted, where the rest of us departments that are typically just office staff have 3% budgeted overtime. You can see overall, we're just at 3.39% overtime. Overall, everything's looking pretty good. Any questions, commissioners? First page, second page, just a little bit more detailed breakdown. Departmentally, regular salaries, seasonal, and overtime to see more precisely where those monies are being spent. Any questions on that report, commissioners? Next report is 2023 year-to-date budget activity report. Once again, those highlighted in the blue are those that have exceeded that 66.67. Once again, it's just something for us to keep an eye on as we're going through the budget year. Always like to point out the county general. There it's 2 lines above the noxious weed. It's atypically low at the 34.83. Remember, that's where we had that $4 million budget stabilization. So it's typically lower than most departments within the general fund. Everything on this first page is within the general fund. So any department that would exceed even at the end of the year would not be a budget violation. It's just that the entire fund is. So there would not need to be any budget amendments for these individual departments, even if they do go for the end of the year. Any questions on this first page? Next page, once again, those highlighted in the blue designate that they are over the 66.67. And of course, RCPDs, we've paid out their appropriations. That's what kicks that one up.
We paid that once or twice. We pay it at the beginning of the budget year in July.
We used to pay it semi-annually, but now quarterly.
Okay, so
They asked for that change along not too distant past. Any questions on that first page? County building commissioners is one, and RCPD are both what I talked to you earlier in the budget season on. What I anticipate too, that we may need to do budget amendments at the end of the year because of high building expenses. Just as we're seeing high building expenses in building new facilities, repair of facilities is also higher. And then, of course, with RCPD, that is part of it. And then the other part is inmate medical, which we will see below. Any questions on the second page? Of course, the second page, any of these that would be over by the end of the year would be a budget violation. Those are items that, keep close eye on. And of course, we'll have the budget amendment around November if we anticipate the need for that.
And community corrections would be that same thing because they made their appropriations in July. So it should balance out by the end of the year.
Should keep an eye on all of them. Any questions on that second page? Third page, Commissioner, all enterprise funds. These are funds of special benefit districts of which property owners or residents in those districts pay for those fees and taxes. So there's no general ad valorem taxes. It is part of our budget. You ultimately are responsible for them, but we do not use ad valorem taxes to pay for these services. Any questions on this page, commissioners? Next page is just a little bit more detailed breakdown of that department I spoke about in the general fund, county general. Personnel, I always like to remind everyone that there are no personnel that are paid on an hourly basis out of that. That's separation of service dollars for accrued time when someone leaves that gets paid out. You see we're doing okay, knock on wood on there right now. And then the miscellaneous budget stabilization $4 million I referred to earlier.
Are a little bit over the year to date on commodities though.
Yeah. Which a little bit over, but not a large dollar item. Any questions on that, commissioners? Next report is just a little bit more detailed breakout comparison of August to August 22 to 23, and then year to date through August 2022 to 23. Something commissioners asked 4 years ago to kind of a snapshot, although not always an apples comparison, to see why a department may be spending more or less than they did the previous year. Any questions on those, commissioners? Next report's RCPD expenses paid by Riley County. I'd like to remind those that are watching, so the commissioners know, because you hear me say it every month, is that RCPD expenses, all of these, other than the appropriation line item at the very bottom, Riley County is responsible 100% for. All facilities costs, including maintenance, all inmate medical and care of inmates is borne through the Riley County budget 100%. No other public entity contributes to that. I like this second report on RCPD expense a little bit better, gets a better snapshot comparatively for the last 5 years. You can see physician wise, we are high again this year, extremely high. Hence the possible need for a budget amendment for this fund at the end of the year. Building maintenance is higher, definitely than last year and the previous year before that. So it's atypically high as well. Something we keep an eye on, but at the end of the day, if there are expenditures at the end of the year that we have to cover, we will have to do a budget amendment. Of course, for those watching, when we do a budget amendment, that is not an increase in taxes. We don't have authority to increase taxes. We just have to get that money from somewhere else in the budget to pay for it. Any questions on that, commissioners?
Yeah, I had on the building maintenance for the RCPD. Is there any reason it jumped up over $20,000 from last year? Is that from software or?
That was a water valve replacement, the mixing valve for the hot water in the system. That was almost a $20,000.
Really?
And that's where we're at now, and we will probably will exceed 2020's costs. You know, so we're just at this point in time now, we have another quarter to go, so that won't be the end of the expenditures, I'm sure.
Where was that? Remember, we had that software, or they were going to redo the cameras.
Mhm.
Is that in here somewhere yet, or
CIP.
We that as CIP.
is that CIP? Okay,
Yeah, we did.
and that's been finished.
I do not know yet. Is it finished? We did.
I actually asked about that. They're still working on getting the software right, but all the hardware and the hard drives are all there. Yeah. They're still trying to make some adjustments with that to make it work. Should be close though.
The total for the totals for 19. No. Because those totals don't match.
Which totals?
Any of them on the right. Yeah, like the top one, zeros all across, and then the total of 100.
Gotcha, that's probably a formula error. I'll have
There's
to look
separate,
at.
and several of them.
And
I like
I
that.
can't look at that on here, unfortunately, because it's not, it's.
You get that
so, yeah.
spreadsheet that looks like there's something. I don't know if it's carrying some previous years.
Yeah.
Prop forwards, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Commissioner. Yep, we'll check that. But yeah, that facility is expensive to run. Building maintenance in the past has been a problem. That's one I always keep an eye on, and anything related to inmate medical because, well, have high population rates, but just that clientele is not the healthiest of our public. And so whatever costs are borne while they're in our possession, we have to pay.
We've got less and less staff on there with those immediate.
Excuse me?
They got less and less people down there that can do things on site, so they have to go out to get that assistance.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Very expensive. It can go up in a hurry too. Yeah. Offsite inmate medical, expenses paid by Advanced Correctional. You can see the total expenditures of $31,000 pool balance. The average daily population is at 124, which is a lot. That's all attributing to those higher inmate medical expenditures. Any questions on that, commissioners? You have more time to look through those reports and have any other questions, commissioners, be sure to let us know. Just give us a call or email us. Again, glad to get some clarification. I'll look at that formulas there. Commissioners, and up next in a few minutes at whatever time it is, 9:55 is Shiloh.
Been talking to the media about replacing the jail.
Director Pete came in and asked.
It was something on the media I heard and I hadn't heard it. Bye. That's.
I thought they talked about. They have been expanded, didn't they? The size. I don't know.
Remember earlier in the year, I'm
Yeah, he had said something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
I don't.
It's research.
I don't know. Knowing what I know out there at that space, I don't know how they're gonna expand without going up, and I don't think the ground's gonna allow you to do it.
It's all.
Yeah. In terms of buildings and facilities, I've got other priorities first.
Yeah.
Big game.
That's okay.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah, that is the truth.
We're all night getting ready.
Yep.
How I do it anyway.
That's a proven method for us.
Ready? Yeah. All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Shiloh Hager, Riley County Treasurer with the August revenue report. The end of August, we had a balance in the general fund of 24,174,883. Comparatively, when I looked at the general fund balance in 2022, we had 24,593,999. So very much right about where we were at this point last year. We currently have a balance in our ARPA funds of 13,998,327. Our total fund balance for the end of August is at 79,918,874.59. You'll see here in our holding funds of 7,184,606. We'll be making our second to last distribution here in the month of September. So those funds will be going down, and we'll be wrapping up the tax year here at the end of October. Our investment income at the end of August, we have net interest to the county general fund of 1,843,945. And year-to-date interest earned in the funds that are in the ARPA account are 448,457. The active checking account earned a rate of 5.49% in the month of August. And our we did have a CD that we invested in and got a rate of 5.52%. The general fund revenue for the month of August was $833,555.91. That year to date through August 31st, we are at 9.98% over what was budgeted through the month of August. Some areas that you can look at here, our sales tax was over budget for the month. Interest and penalties on paid taxes, which we had quite a few taxes that got paid, delinquent taxes that are paid, especially after the publication happens. So, and obviously investment interest is higher than what was budgeted for in the month of August. And then our total amount through August, we have collected 95.65% of the total revenue that was budgeted for this calendar year. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So this is the sales tax that is retained by the county through the month, or in August, we received $433,676. We have budgeted $300,000 for the month. $188,561 represents the half cents general sales tax. $232,392 is the road and bridge sales tax. Year to date, we have collected 88.32% of what was budgeted for sales tax, and that is 21.65% over what we have budgeted through the month of August. Here you can see kind of where we are comparatively over the years, the last 5 years. You can see we're still year to date, we're just a little bit 5.28% over what we had collected year to date at this point last year. And the road and bridge, as I've said in the past, because of the change in the rate, it'll take us a couple of years before that actually will have apples to apples here. And here you can see the breakdown of the various areas where we see those sales tax dollars coming into Riley County. Any questions about sales tax? This next slide, just like I started to show you, is just kind of how those sales tax dollars are broken out and what Riley County gets to retain and what is shared with what is this is, and what is shared with the cities within Riley County. And speaking of which, we will be making our second quarter distribution to the small cities here in the month of September. And I have those amounts if you're interested. Leonardville is $55,864. Ogden is $25,118. Randolph, $2,082, and Riley is $15,571. As I've mentioned before, we will be making the September distribution this week to all the taxing entities, and then we'll have one more distribution on October 31st. I just wanted to let you know that I am currently sitting on a committee. We met with the Department of Revenue last week to once again start looking to see if if there's even an administrative function that we could look at to maybe look at these motor vehicle fees. So we have not stopped pursuing that endeavor. Our bill is still alive in the legislature one more year, so we might be looking at, revisiting that as well. Last week, I also had attended the Kansas County Treasurers Association Conference in Salina, had some really good certification classes on KMAG and financial statements, investments and collateral, human resources. And then we had a very interesting presentation from Tony Mativi, the KPI director. He was very, a very good speaker and very interesting to listen to. But other than that, I stand for any questions that you might have, and can't believe that we're going to be close to tax time again.
More than halfway through this month.
But is there anything I can provide you? It's fine.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
we'll see you next month.
Thanks. That's good.
Next, Commissioner, you have plenty at 10:10.
Hey, this is Catherine. Something pretty good. I thought I'd check in yet. I really fast. Okay. Yeah, you check it out. Oh. So you're gonna do the things today or what? Yeah, something like that. There's a meeting, I don't think one day. I don't want to get this.
You can start out the fence order, Clancy.
I can,
No, it don't matter. I was just trying to get this where you wanted it.
sure. Well, probably the fence order, I think, first. Thanks for checking.
I noticed, over time, I thought, well, it's gonna be other things.
Which one today?
Yeah, might be the last of the 90-degree temperatures though. We'll see. It's like towards the weekend, beginning of next week, it's gonna drop down to 70s. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. I agree. Evenings have been cooling off faster too, so
Yeah.
that makes it so much nicer.
The humidity and dew points down in the evenings and up a little bit in the morning. So.
Yeah, that always happens.
Yeah.
We should stay down at night.
Mhm. It's nice to be able to sleep with the windows open.
Except for all the smoke in here now. Doggone Canadians. Be able to stay within their borders.
Yeah. Right.
I noticed it this morning, is I didn't realize, I didn't even make the connection.
I noticed it yesterday coming back from Oklahoma, driving this way, you can just see, you look out on the horizon.
You can really tell them kind of in the mornings too, and there's a little bit of dew. Smoke just kind of hangs there with it. Kind of your layer of fog, and then there's a little bit of that layer of smoke that's right there. Sure made the sunrise and the sunset a little bit more orange, I think, too.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
it does. Really noticed that, it does. What's weather like at your destination?
You won't believe it. It's raining. And it's, the 10-day forecast is rain every day.
Yeah, had a lot of rain out that way.
Yeah, it's been real wet.
Send some this way when you get there, if you would, please.
I'll do what I can.
These storms are unusual for us, but when we get one, it can be a doozy, so I'd take a large amount of rain.
Got it briefly there for a little bit over the weekend.
Got not.
Looked like it was going to really pound us for quite a while, and it didn't.
They'd just be sitting at the bar looking out the window then, huh?
Probably not at the bar, probably at the house itself, I mean.
Oh, you guys get an Airbnb?
Well, no, they've rented a beach house for the group. So in theory, it's still there because all the flooding and stuff, and that was northern Outer Banks. This is way at the south, clear at the tip.
It'll make an interesting trip if it's not there.
That's true. True. Well, all kinds of participants suing each other for a refund. It'll be good, even if it's constant rain. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, I like to just get away.
Yeah.
See new country.
And it's not like we won't be able to see the water. And if we can't, we don't particularly want to get out on the beach.
Just have more water to see.
Yeah, exactly. We can see possibly a tsunami, get an earthquake.
We'll be watching the hurricane tracks to see which ones you
There's two out there in the Atlantic right now.
So far, it's missed this particular area, but it's hit the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
They're talking, they had all kinds of, some of the group was sending out beach warnings and surf warnings, which I've never read. It was kind of cool to read those.
Oh,
Oh, I can see you out there on the beach, walking around and surfing.
certainly, yeah.
I can see him getting up on a surfboard.
Then I can't.
Hopefully it's not too bad that you can still get in your surfing.
I would
Home
hope.
home and hanging ten, huh?
Yeah.
Cowabunga. Exactly. Was that
I never wanted to try.
surf language for God's sake, call for help?
I wouldn't mind trying surfing as long as I knew there weren't those things that could eat you below the sea.
yeah.
Exactly. It's-
So like scuba diving.
I've never had the desire to be a lure.
It's getting worse too. in the water.
Right. Why? Schedule.
Oh, really?
I have some places in the class.
Right.
I probably got to do it, but we did just what do you call it, boogie boards. We just,
Oh, yeah, body surgeon.
Little short
you know,
shoulders,
short ones.
doing close to the shore.
Yeah, it just jump on.
Could you do that?
I sometimes, not consistently, but every once in a while, you catch one, just cut away just right. Boy, it was pretty fun to shoot in. And other times though, one time I can't, because I had one of those called rash guard, the shirts keep sun, because they
So,
Sun's bad enough there, even, it does, sun lotion doesn't help, so you wear these long sleeve shirts. One time though, I got out there and it turned me over, and it pulled my shirt up, my shirt was clear when I came up, I didn't, shorts go, my shirt was pulled up, clear up over my head.
Oh, no, I've gone blind.
boy, you hit me.
It rolled me around a few times.
Morning, Commissioner.
Yes.
Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. The first item, I think it's out of order on the agenda, but I want to go ahead and place this in front of you. This is the corrected order assigning partition fence responsibility. This is the same. If it looks familiar, it's because you've seen it 2 other times. The card explains what the basis for that is. The first time that I brought it to you, I neglected to include the statutory fee of $7, so it's going to bring it back for that. And in the interim, discovered that I had the directions wrong on the courses of the fence, so corrected that and got ready to bring it back. And that's when we discovered that, wait a minute, it's got a wrong book and page on one of the 2 parcels, the 2 adjoining parcels. I corrected that. All that time, the rest of the text of the orders remained the same. There was nothing else to change. So it hasn't changed the finding of the board in terms of assigning responsibility or assigning costs. But thankfully, the prior ones at least did not. The good news is the prior ones didn't get filed with the register of deeds, because each time the error was discovered before that could happen. So this one's going to be filed with the register of deeds. We'll get that done this week. And so just wanted to give you an update on that while you're seeing it again. And hopefully that will not happen. Glad to answer any questions you got. If you don't have questions, I would just ask that you approve this for signature, and we'll get it on file with the register of deeds as the statute requires.
Go ahead and move the board sign the corrected order assigning partition fence responsibility.
A second.
So moved and seconded that the board sign the corrected order assigning partition fence responsibility. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sign, please, multiple places.
Okay with you, Madam Chairwoman, I'll go ahead and proceed
Okay.
while that's being passed around. The other item I have is the pending projects list. Updated through the date indicated. We can scroll through here a little bit. Pick up anything, any question, and certainly you can ask a question on any of it. And currently finishing off the brief on the First Christian Church matter. And that'll be filed by October 11th. It's the deadline for that. As usual, quite frankly, a lot of the entries, anytime they're on here, they're normally for assisting a department in some issue that's come up. Basically what we did as in-house, basically in-house corporate counsel. Didn't see anything else in there that I needed to necessarily, from my point of view, update you on, or if you might have a question about, I'd be glad to stand for any questions you got, anything on there or anything else. Whether it's any project or one you want to talk about, I'd be glad to answer your question.
Next KAC meeting's coming up, right? You sent an email out on that.
Yes, I did. I think it's not the 20th, 21st or 2nd.
I think it is the 20th.
Is it the 20th?
Don't they usually have them on Wednesdays?
I couldn't tell you. I thought it was just after that, but I'm going to try and attend that by Zoom. just to see where those couple of items the board had.
27th, and it is Wednesday.
Okay, good.
So that's the legislative issues. Yes, again.
Yeah, and that's the interesting one on that is going to be what I think, what the policy board discusses about Senate concurrent resolution 1611.
Yeah.
And whether or not they're actually going to come out in favor of that. Because that would represent a change in course, I think, seems to me anyway. Unless I'm just wildly not reading the resolution correctly, because it has the value cap. In the past, KAC would not have supported that because of the impact that would cause. But, there's always, I mean, they will do what they believe is in the best interest of the members of the membership of their group. And so I don't know.
So you're saying they're gonna support?
I don't know. I'm saying that's the option. That was the option from the moment it was brought up.
I
That's
think-
why it was brought to them.
Yes.
And given the unique circumstances of where this bill sits procedurally, this resolution, excuse me, it just needs to get bounced over to the other, sent over to the House. And if they're 2/3 supported, then it's going on the ballot. And that's why the drumbeat is pretty strong on those who support the value cap. If they want to get this done, they've got it basically teed up for action. Now, that doesn't mean the House has to do that. Who knows?
One of the people on that committee, one of the one that's pushing it. On that review committee.
I don't know if they're on the review committee or not.
They're a
But they are
member, they're a member of the policy committee.
Are they?
I believe. That's what I understood. I didn't go back and check the membership roster.
And I thought that one that it's been,
I could be wrong about that.
I heard a new one this weekend from somebody that they're saying for appraisals, well, maybe we just used a 3-year average each year on appraisals. Huh? I didn't get what the benefit was for that. Somebody's,
It's like they do on ag land.
you have to do on that. I didn't understand.
You know,
Told him I didn't like the 4% thing. I don't think he. I think he kind of supported that, but then he said, well, what about this one, the average? I get that. I didn't see what.
I think it'll make for an interesting KAC annual meeting if that gets supported by KAC, and I think you may see an impact on KAC membership, those type of things go forward.
it could be.
In terms of the governing board, there's nobody on there from there.
No, but it's policy, but who's reviewing these things.
I think it's made, yeah, but he raises a good point though, because that may be, I think the policy committee is the entire governing body of KAC. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be a subcommittee.
That's why
They didn't call us that.
Oh, okay.
So I may have been wrong in assuming.
Would support that.
That's, like I said, it's a different course. We'll just have to see what they do. And again, as Rich pointed out, it still has to go in front of the membership in December.
Oh,
So
meeting.
do that, because it's one thing for the policy committee to recommend it, and it's another for the members to approve it. And it could make for, as Rich said, a real robust
discussion.
which we've had from time to time.
We had
There have
one,
been some interesting
yeah,
discussions.
we had one at KCCA and whenever that was, April.
I don't know, it's your guess is as good as mine as to where this is headed, but I guess in the end, I'd be surprised if the policy committee supported it, but they still could. And then it's just a matter of just membership.
Yeah.
There's a couple really pushing it, aren't there?
Yeah, there are two pretty vocal proponents, at least two. There may be more, who knows, because not everybody spoke. And there were a couple of pretty vigorous opponents. That's about the best you can say about that last meeting.
Say Leavenworth County, all 5 Leavenworth County commissioners are pushing it.
I understood it.
They're all signed on to it. There's one they're pushing it, I guess. The others are all signed on.
That was discussed.
Other county says that.
I don't know, that's just the one I've seen. Some stuff about.
I don't understand.
As I said, as I've always taken the position before, just everybody, all 3 of you, if you wanted, you could zoom in and watch. You just can't have interactive discussions. So that would mean primarily that you couldn't weigh in on anything.
I just have to yell at the computer. I can't.
Yell at the computer or
Can't put the speaker on, but I can yell at him.
In my case, that's probably better.
No microphones.
Right.
Yeah.
I may try to zoom in on that. I probably won't make any comments, but
No, and I just would encourage you not to,
Yes.
if there's gonna be more than one of you on there, because that conceivably could be interpreted as interactive communication. It just depends on the facts, but you're better off. Because you'll find out what they do. I mean, it's not like you won't learn what the decision is.
yeah, I wouldn't mind listening to that, if I will or not.
Should get an audience. They had really good attendance at the first one, I thought.
Mhm.
Really, since they kind of everybody's used to Zoom. Couldn't have said that. It was a couple years back, but
I think they used to do it by teleconference, didn't they? And
Who had heard of Zoom? a couple years ago.
I know it's new. It's no longer, it's news technology now.
Zoom.
Gets me is how they don't understand it doesn't accomplish what their overall end goal is, that's to lower taxes. It's just a tax shift.
Some guy was talking to us, said.
Yeah.
Changing prices, but change taxes. Change taxes is lower. Yeah, that's where you need to lower taxes.
Yeah, go to your governing body and cheerlead for a lower rate.
Find an alternative revenue source such as LABTR or bake sales we've talked about.
Bake sales could work. That'd be good.
But you have to find that rest.
Reduce the tax exemptions.
So that's,
a big one.
That's
That's the big one.
needs to be done.
yeah, one of the board members at that first meeting, the policy committee, actually, at least one of them, I think two of them. Well, I know at least one of them spoke up and said, what's gonna happen is, unfortunately, if that passes, it is gonna do what it's gonna restrict the income that counties depend on, because you're reducing the amount of property tax that's coming in. And so what eventually does that
Mill
mean?
levy's got
I mean, you either eliminate programs or you raise the mill levy. In one
I
of
think
those-
in essence, you're gonna have to do both.
Well, and that's the other option, but as a cynic, I know who will be blamed for it.
Yeah,
It won't be the sponsors of 1611. That'll be lost in the
well,
shuffle.
how long will it be? 10 years before they come back to reappraisal because everything's so out of balance?
I don't know that
How
it
many
would take
years?
10, I don't know it would take 10 years. It just depends on what market prices do and what, the change. The other thing they kept saying was, well, property shifts ownership every 7 years. I've never heard that before. That was something that's
Every
supposed.
7 years?
What's that?
Every 7 years?
That's what they said. That's what they were talking. I know where the figure came from.
No, that's not a majority of property.
No, I don't know. That's news to me.
Where did they get that?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, that's all I have unless you have questions. Thank you.
An interesting KAC annual.
Yes.
The thing that's in December, where it's a little colder out. Mhm. So Wichita this year.
Okay, we have any other business?
I don't. Okay.
I'm trying to make it so out there.
Had a good idea.
What?
Having both of us at the law board meeting.
Well,
I don't even say anything.
no, as long as you're just there watching and there's not interactive communication, the only wild part of it would be if an argument could be made that, well, you had a chance, it was somewhat interactive because you heard somebody's stated position on something that is county business. I know you're wearing a different hat when you're on the law board. I get that. So I would say there's some risk in it, but I'm not saying that would be
Yeah,
successful.
that was the only reason why.
It's more about the way it looks rather than how.
Okay.
And really, it's a real pain in the neck to defend one of those because you're eating up resources for something that you know is not a real problem.
Because we will be voting on stuff. That's
Okay, well, maybe not then. I just said I'd go up there.
I would urge caution on that kind of thing,
Okay.
just because of the way it looks.
I just would. I haven't been to one. for a while.
That's no reason to go.
I'll visit up there and
It's
get
teasing.
sandwiches from the community.
Just being
I got
careful.
plenty of other things.
I will not be able to make it to the Wednesday Keats meeting.
Oh, no.
My daughter's
Okay.
birthday Wednesday. So
And good morning, Manhattan on Thursday night.
Thursday morning.
I didn't hear for sure. Are we having a city, county?
I thought I saw something that said it was.
I had it on my calendar, I thought.
Trying to think what's
I
there.
have it on my calendar, but I didn't hear of any topics.
I didn't hear any topic either. That's what I was trying to remember. I haven't seen a topic, just like on Intergov, there wasn't a topic. Yeah.
Yeah, but they usually don't cancel that one anyway, because
Right.
talk about this stuff, but
I thought there was.
Okay, yeah, that was, school superintendent.
he's doing Good Morning Manhattan.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hard to keep all straight.
They all come about the same time with all these notices.
It's intergovernmental next Monday.
No, it's the 25th. Well, yeah, it would be next Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
There wasn't anything, but the deadline for that isn't until the 20th, so somebody could pop something on there between now and
Right. I
Wednesday.
thought that might happen.
Yeah. But I didn't hear anything on the city, county, so
Is it here this time? City, county?
I'll be there for the last. Well, I've got plenty of other stuff going on too. So Fair Board, I guess, is the task force is meeting Wednesday morning at 7.
Mhm.
Rural Economic Development Committee meeting at 3 on Wednesday. That's about all I know. Maybe that's enough.
Yeah, that's fair thing.
Yeah. I've got it on my calendar.
If we go up.
Yeah.
Because again, we can't, only one of us.
I won't be able to go because I'm at work and I've been trying to kind of catch up.
I had put in an RSVP, but.
Okay. That's why did he, I hadn't.
I didn't know.
So I didn't know.
I had to be.
I've been trying just to either catch up with Gary or my representative on there rather than inserting myself into that conversation.
I want to do it. As an observer.
Just my personal preference, if I've got somebody serving my interests on there, I don't try to step on their toes. That was the whole purpose. Everybody's different.
I have to check my number. Anyway, is there anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, go ahead and make a motion to adjourn the September 18th meeting of the Raleigh County Commission.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the September 18th meeting of the Raleigh County Commission.